I am not a financial advisor, and I never give financial advice on this channel. 100% of this content is for entertainment purposes only. Hello everybody, hope you're all doing well. It's Lane here with MetaShackle. Today I'm going to be covering the Bitcoin ETH, ADA, Quant, and IOTA charts. This is part one of a two-part series, and in the second video, which will be coming up in the next day or two, I will be covering XRP, XLM, HBAR, Algo, and XDC. So keep your eyes peeled for that one as well. So let's not waste any more time and let's get into the charts. First off, taking a look at the Bitcoin chart, this is the daily chart. Bitcoin has a lot of things working in its favor, even though we have seen price action basically crash in the last couple days because of recent events going on within the Middle East. Price broke out of this descending wedge pattern here on April 17th, 2025, coming up here to set a new all-time high on May 22nd, 2025. Price is currently trading below the upper trend line, above this bullish BISI, which is centered at about 99,918. There's a weak doji right here at the 97,043 level. Price is trading above the Gaussian channel, as well as above the equilibrium zone and above the 200-day moving average, all of which are bullish. There's also a second weak doji reverse waterfall right here at the 85,136 level, and a bullish order block which is formed down here at the 77,648 level. All in all, I do think that we're going to be seeing a new all-time high set within Bitcoin in a relatively short amount of time. Now, whether or not it can make it past this upper trend line remains to be seen, but I do believe, even in light of recent events, that we will see the bullish momentum continue, as long as the equilibrium zone is held. Now taking a look at the Ethereum charts. This is also on the daily chart. Ethereum has been on a heck of an incredibly bullish run as of late. With this breakout candle right here on May 8th, price has come up but has been rejected time and time again off of the equilibrium zone. Although it did briefly cross the equilibrium line in the center of the equilibrium zone here, it was rejected off of the top quadrant. Although it has had an incredibly bullish move, it's not quite as bullish as Bitcoin, as it's now trading below the equilibrium zone as well as below the 200-day moving average. It is, however, trading above the Gaussian channel and has multiple layers of support, with this bullish BISI right here centered at right around that 2,274 level, as well as a rather large one here centered at about that $2,012 level. There's also a bullish order block way down here at the 1,504 range. All in all, unless Ethereum can get through the equilibrium zone, trading up above it with a full body candle with wicks included, it's very likely that it's going to come down at a minimum to this bullish BISI right here. But being held down for so long by the equilibrium zone in this area, that's not a good sign, especially how it made this last move up here, clearing out all of the buy-side liquidity resting above that pattern. That could be a sign that we're likely to see it start to seek sell-side liquidity down in this area. So all in all, the chart could absolutely look better with Ethereum, but it does have a couple of things still working in its favor. Until it gets above the 200-day moving average and up above the equilibrium zone, I'm not quite sold on it. For additional information and exclusive perks, do consider joining me on Patreon. Now taking a look at the ADA charts. This is also the daily chart. ADA is not looking very bullish at all at this point on the daily chart. It's trading below the equilibrium zone. It's been rejected off of this bearish SIBI right here on the daily, centered at about that 86-cent range. It's trading below the 200-day moving average and has now fallen below this upper trend line. There is, however, a weak doji reverse waterfall right here, which is a likely target at 60 cents 97, as well as a bullish order block on the daily right here that's centered at around that 56.5 level, which could very well act as support if the price comes down into this range, giving it what it needs to finally punch out of this upper trend line and perhaps make a move to the upside. It is also trading below the Gaussian channel, which at this point is still green, which is the only bullish thing leaning in its favor at this point, at least on this chart at this time. Overall, it's not looking very good for ADA, but this bullish order block may very well be the support that it needs. And if it can get a reversal out of this area, it may very well take a shot at the equilibrium zone in the near future. Now moving on to Quant. This is on the daily chart. This chart looks considerably better than the ETH or the ADA charts. As many of you know, this cup and handle pattern formed right here starting on February 27th, 2025, of which it broke out of the handle pattern here on May 26th, going on a very decent run. Price broke out above the equilibrium zone, taking out this weak doji waterfall, but was rejected off the bearish SIBI right here, centered about that 124,000 range. Price has since fallen back into the equilibrium zone, retested the equilibrium line, but is still trading within the upper half. Price is also trading above the 200-day moving average, as well as above the Gaussian channel. There are a couple additional layers of support, being this rim line of the cup and handle pattern, as well as the lower handle trend line, as well as this bullish BISI right here centered about that $78.61 range. All in all, even though the price has fallen back, it has yet to break through the rim line, and it looks to actually have retested off of it, which could be an incredibly bullish sign if we can move up, take out this previous high, and break free of this bearish SIBI. I really like what I'm seeing here on this chart, and I think there's a lot of potential for this moving forward as long as it continues to gain momentum. At the very worst, I would expect it to retest off of the 200-day moving average and gain traction again. But what we want to see is it holding up above the equilibrium line and at a bare necessity, the 200-day moving average. We may just be in the early stages of seeing what Quant is getting ready to do, especially if this ends up being a retest off of the rim line, as it did do a minor retest here, rejecting here, which was due to the international news having to do with what's going on in the Middle East rather than fundamentals itself. Therefore, this very well could act as a spring bouncing out of here. So that'll be something I'll definitely be keeping my eye on. But all in all, what I've seen so far, even including the Bitcoin chart, I think I like what I'm seeing here on the Quant chart more than the Bitcoin chart. Now moving on to IOTA. This is also the daily chart. Price broke out of this descending wedge pattern on about April 11th, 2025. Traded up, made it slightly through the 200-day moving average, was rejected right here off the -1 line on my Fibonacci's. Price has since fallen below the 200-day moving average, is now trading below the Gaussian channel, and is now broken below this bullish BISI right here, taking out this weak doji reverse waterfall at the 16.56 level, all of which are bearish signs. Not to mention it's trading well below the equilibrium zone by 50% and some change, although there is a small bullish order block right here at about that 15-cent level. Even though it's not marked on this chart, it's right here, which could act as support and perhaps even a potential area of reversal. This move down below this bearish BISI right here was likely due to the same news that's been affecting the majority of the crypto industry. Since this has been filled, I'll just go ahead and erase it now. And you can see that this fair value gap right here has actually transferred through this area here, right here, and is now switched to a bearish fair value gap, which would be in red. Which means at this point it's very likely that this area will act as resistance. But if we do mark out that bullish order block right here, that would give you an idea of where we could see a turnaround if that bullish order block holds. But it is trading very close to the bottom end of this pattern thus far, so if it does start to trade down in this area, that might be a good time to start laddering positions to accumulate, because it's now entering that area which has been the best place to buy in quite some time, basically since before the Trump pump. So if this is something you're holding or something you're looking to hold or looking to establish a position in, might not be a bad idea to consider laddering some limit buy orders down in this area in the event that it's hit, because it's certainly much better to be buying in this area than buying in this area. But all in all, this chart looks very bearish. There's nothing to get excited about here other than the fact that you might be able to start a position at much lower prices than what we've seen since November. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate each and every single one of you. Please do me a favor and hit the like button. It doesn't cost you anything and it helps the channel break through the algorithm, and I would really appreciate it. Good luck to each and every single one of you. Have a great day.
Even when I was a kid, I had the media stalking me, would leave me alone, they'd never leave me be. So manipulative, they'd do anything to get something from me.